alone. Therefore we praise Him and seek His help and seek His forgiveness. We seek refuge in Allah from the evil of ourselves and from the evil consequences of our actions. The one whom Allah guides, nobody can misguide him, and the one whom Allah leaves astray, there is no one to guide him. I bear witness that there is no ilah, no God, worthy of worship except Allah alone, without partners, and that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is the final prophet and messenger to the whole of mankind. My dear, respected brothers and sisters in Islam. Before I begin my brief presentation, I want to just tell you a little story. There was a brother, and mashallah, as we know, the Prophet ﷺ said, the best lines in the masjid for men are, anyone want to tell me? The front rows, and the best row for women are back rows, and this brother loved to get into the front row. And one day, when he went to the masjid, he found he wasn't able to get into the front row. And he felt embarrassed. And it was at that point he realized that his intentions had become corrupted. And he liked for people to see him in the front row, as opposed to being in the front row for the sake of Allah. That's why he felt embarrassed. And he corrected his intention. Now as myself and the brother made our way here from the car park, he explained to me, oh, you know, the university, they gave us some problems, they didn't allocate a room, and the advertising was so on and so forth, and then we discussed, I asked him how many Muslims were on campus, and he told me. And as you move through your lives, okay, you're going to encounter many situations whereby you may put in a lot of effort to do things, only to find you did not get what you expected in terms of number or whatever else. This is why, subhanAllah, niyyah is so important in Islam. Intention is so important. Intention has to be correct. It must be correct. On the Day of Judgment, some of the Anbiya, some of the prophets will come, they will have a handful of followers. Some prophets will have no followers at all. Nobody listened, but they did their duty. And this is what's important for us. I mentioned this the last time I came, which was that I'm not sure if my speech will be the kind of speech that you like, I hope it is. But what's important is that we come here today with a good intention. And the Prophet ﷺ said, any of you who come together in the house of Allah with the intention of remembering Allah, the angels surround the gathering, spreading their wings to the heavens and asking Allah to forgive those who are present. This should be our intention today, inshallah, from the get-go. To come together to remember Allah, and inshallah to leave here in a better position than when we arrived. Now, you can't surf a news site, open a newspaper, or turn on the television without some kind of story about Islam and about Muslims. I was actually thinking about this on the way over here, thinking, subhanAllah, if somebody was to ask you about Islam, it's reached the stage whereby if it's somebody who's not a Muslim, you have to wonder, what do they understand Islam to be? Because you can be fairly certain that what they think Islam is, it's not. It's reached that degree. So if somebody if somebody was to ask you a question about Islam, before you could answer it, you'd have to check with them, what do you mean by Islam? When you say Islam, if a non-Muslim questions you about Islam, before you can answer their question, you'd have to ask them, what do you understand Islam to be? It's reached that level. Because I know what I see in the media, of whatever type it is not what I understand Islam to be. I read an article by a man named Paul Valery in the Independent newspaper many years ago. I've got it somewhere. And the title was, why are so many of us joining the most unpopular religion on earth? He was talking about converts to Islam. Why are so many of us joining the most unpopular religion on earth? What he was doing was bearing testament to a fact that in spite of the negative publicity that Islam gets, he was acknowledging that it's the fastest growing religion. That was his article went on. the fastest growing religion in Europe, and importantly, the fastest growing religion in what is termed first world countries, developed nations. You know, the G8 nations, they talk about the G8 nations. The fastest growing religion in the most developed nations in the world is Islam, subhanAllah. And there's been a number of books that I've read over the years that have been compiled stories. One is called Islam, Our Choice. It's very nice, you know, it's got all of these different stories about different converts to Islam. And one of the nice things is it talks about not only the careers before, but some of their names. You know, one of them, a very famous Muslim, his name was Marmaduke Pickthall. He actually went on to translate one of the first copies of the Quran. But it's a very old English name. You never hear anyone called Marmaduke these days, but that was his name, very old English name, Marmaduke. And it's quite funny that converts to Islam, we kind of have a dual identity. A bit like Peter Parker, you know, a bit like Clark Kent. Among our non-Muslim families, you know, we're Peter and Dave and Paul and Steve and whatever else. But among the Muslims, we are Abdullah, Ahmed, Muhammad, all of these Muslim names that we take on. So we've got these dual identities. So I'm going to do a little test with you guys. If I said Mikhail Abdulaziz, who could tell me the non-Muslim name of that person? Who? Yeah, who is it though? Mikhail Abdulaziz. No. Who is he? That's his Muslim name. What's his non-Muslim name? Anybody? Huh? MashaAllah. Very good. That's good. That's quite obscure. Brother's good, man. MashaAllah. A star. You get a lollipop on the way out, a little badge, inshallah. Okay. Alright, so let's do some easy ones then. Okay? What was it? Mike Tyson. His Muslim name is Mikhail Abdulaziz. Malik al-Hajj Shabazz. Malik al-Hajj Shabazz. Anybody? Come on, man, this is easy. MashaAllah, this is Malcolm X, this is brother Malcolm. Malcolm X, rahimahullah. How about, okay, this is an easy one, isn't it? Cat Stevens? Yusuf Islam, okay. Very, very easy. So this, the book that I told you about, Islam, Our Choice, what it does is it actually details stories of Muslims who've converted to Islam, and they come from some very, very good, shall I say, backgrounds. Lawyers, I don't know why it's a good background, but they've got good jobs. Lawyers and bankers and people like that. The idea behind the book was to show that normal people convert to Islam. Good people embrace Islam. Look, these are normal people who've embraced Islam. You know, John Burt from the BBC, his son embraced Islam, and so did Frank Dobson. His son embraced Islam, and this, this Osborne guy, the Shadow Chancellor, his brother's a Muslim. I mean, Muslims like to show, look at all these normal people embracing Islam. I have an article I want to read to you guys and gals, brothers and sisters, which, maybe we wouldn't be so proud of the background of this person, but it has to do with the Labour government. When the Labour government came to power, they organised one of their first big initiatives was to examine the role of childcare in this country, children's homes and institutions in the UK, and to see what they could do to improve them, because they were in a very bad situation. This is taken from 1997. And the judge chosen to do this, to investigate and to examine childcare, was a man named Sir William Utting. And Sir William Utting came back with some findings, and he said, when I examined children's homes in the UK, he said it revealed a crash course in human wickedness. He found them to be very evil institutions. A lot of evil, a lot of sexual abuse and physical and psychological abuse was going on. And he came with a list of proposals to overhaul and correct institutions in the UK. Now, what The Independent did, who covered this whole thing from beginning to end, was they chose a story as part of this investigation. And the story had to do with a young man suing Wands of Social Services for criminal neglect. So it mentions that he was held in children's homes